Hello, I'm Dr. Alan Simberg, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about managing job dissatisfaction. And one of the things that I want to point out is in my next several videos, I am going to be talking about different life areas and how to manage them during recovery from addiction. And what I want to point out to you is the strategies are basically the same for every life area, actually, for almost any life challenge. It's a question of how you would apply them in each of the life areas. So, managing dissatisfaction with your job during addiction recovery. The first step would be to identify what it is that is dissatisfying to you about your job. Once you list that and you've identified it, and actually, I recommend either writing it down or putting it into your phone because seeing it can help you to be able to identify the strategies. Because let's say, for example, you're dissatisfied for different reasons. It's easier to remember all the reasons if you can also have them visually to look at. So once you identify any reasons, and what I would suggest is maybe instead of necessarily identifying so many reasons that you might be dissatisfied, at least just start out with maybe two or three at the most major decisions that you need to be able to make so that you will not be dissatisfied in your job. And then with each one, you identify reasons you are dissatisfied and give yourself a chance to think about it. You don't have to take a long time, but give yourself a chance to identify maybe one or two reasons that you might be dissatisfied with each thing that you're dissatisfied about. And then identify what I call a solution to figure out how you could not be dissatisfied. So I'll give you an example. One of the more common things that clients have told me that they feel dissatisfied about in their job is that they don't get the recognition and acknowledgement that they want. They don't feel appreciated. And what's important to recognize and also to realize is that it is nice to be acknowledged and it is nice to be appreciated so that you know that what you are doing is acceptable. And maybe if you like to look ahead, you also are looking for that appreciation or acknowledgement so that maybe in case you have a tendency to worry about your job or you worry about what your job or supervisor are thinking about you, that's understandable. But here's what I would call a clinical pearl. Make it as less important as possible to you to get the acknowledgement or appreciation, and instead put your energy in what you intend to do on your job, what you intend to accomplish on your job. That will take the pressure off you. It will help you to be focused on doing what the job requires to the best of your ability. And having that acknowledgement or appreciation then becomes less important. So that's one example. Now, let's say, for example, maybe you feel overwhelmed on your job. You have a lot to do. Oh, I have so many different tasks. I never seem to be able to get them done. And I even work longer than I wish I had to. Like sometimes, in a way, like I'm even working overtime. Those might be your thoughts. Well, of course, there are two strategies for that. One is identify solutions that might help you to become more efficient in completing your work tasks. And the other part would be to identify what you're accomplishing, even though maybe you are working overtime sometimes. And by overtime, I mean that you're working longer hours. Maybe your job ends at 5 o'clock and you're there till 5:30. And the other thing to recognize is that in today's day and age, and I'm not saying it's so unusual from the past, maybe it's been true too, maybe it's just more now, it's not unusual to be putting in more time because, obviously one of the reasons is it's not unusual for employers to be having the least amount of staff necessary to get the job done, which then, of course, does put pressure on all the employees that are there. Another thing that could put extra pressure on and request or require more time is that maybe there are certain employees that either call in sick or they take vacation. And with the staff already maybe not at maximum, it might ordinarily put extra pressure that requires that you put in more time. So the overall suggestion that I'm making here is do your best to focus on solutions of whatever it is that is contributing to your dissatisfaction and give yourself credit for what you are accomplishing rather than focusing on your dissatisfaction. In my book, Back to Living, I give an overall amount of information about recovery from addiction. And in my e-learning program, which is my action-based recovery program, I elaborate on the core strategies that help people recovering from addiction to manage all their life areas. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can find that information on my website, lifemasterywithalan.com. And in order to help me fulfill my passion of helping as many people as possible, if you found the information in this video or maybe any of the other videos you've listened to helpful, I would appreciate it if you would like, comment, or subscribe to this video so that I can reach as many people as possible and fulfill my passion. And in closing, I just want to say, please always do your best, never to give up. Don't ever, ever give up. You never can know how close you are to accomplishing the goals that you've set for yourself. You may need to take a little bit of a break. Sometimes taking a break helps to ease the stress you might be experiencing. But don't ever give up. Always do your best to be as consistent as possible. And in my next video, I'm going to be talking about improving your physical health during addiction recovery.